Hey, what's going on, people? It's Jameel, and I want to go a little bit more over like my stories and stuff and my experiences. Okay, so like I was telling people, I went through a situation where I did a lot of conspiracy research. Most of my conspiracy research started at an extremely young age. I remember the first real conspiracy thing I had that I wanted to be a part of was I remember seeing the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I loved horror movies at a young age. I saw the movie, and on videotape from Blockbuster, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Then I think in the movie, in the beginning, they depicted it like it had been a true story, and so I thought to myself, I want to figure out if it is a true story. I want to figure out what happened and who the people were, because there has to be some kind of plot, overall plot behind it, which is very funny because the fourth Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out did have some sort of connection with like the Illuminati or something, and it was saying how it was a group of people who had orchestrated it all, like allowed the other people, allowed the killers to do it and get away with it to create terror and fear and all that stuff. And so, Hollywood's very interesting when they put stuff in movies like that. But so again, going back to when I was younger, I used to think, wow, there's something to this, and I used to try to go get the books and stuff at the library and look for cases, look for real cases, and even the women at the library who were working, they were looking at me strange. They were like, why did the 7 or 8 year old, or how old was I? Maybe I was 9 or 10, somewhere around there, 11. They're thinking like, why would he be so interested in this stuff? And so from a very young age, I was always conspiracy oriented. I always wanted to know what was real and not real and figure it out. Anyhow, the last 10 years of my life, I had been looking into the other conspiracy researchers that were out there on the internet putting stuff together. Then the last 3, 4 years of my life, the last 4 years, 2012, and on up to now, I just started saying, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and do it myself. And so I went out there and I started doing conspiracy research, let alone I ended up offending, well, not necessarily, I ended up getting into it, attracting it. I'll put it this way, I ended up attracting the attention of the most powerful people in the world. When I say powerful, I mean people who place themselves, who orchestrate authority, behind the scenes. The most powerful people in the world, basically. And because of the stuff I had learned and because of the stuff I had expanded upon, and I realized, well, this all makes sense because these would only, they would really be the only people who truly know what I'm talking about because they're the ones behind the structure of it. So, that happened. Then I beat a life death. I had a situation where it was a life death thing. I slipped out of that, beat that. Then I went through a year of gang stalking, beat that. Only person in the world to ever beat it. But now I'm going to show you how you can get through it and you can beat it. I learned a long time ago that everything resides on vibration, on frequency. And when you get into gang stalking and you're being followed everywhere and all this stuff, you want to get grounded. Okay, you want to ground yourself. And the easiest way to do that is just go out on the corner and just stand there. And as you notice the people who are supposed to be following you are gang stalking you, no matter who they are, what they look like, start interacting with them. start smiling at them, start waving at them. Just get familiar with them. When I go out now and I'm out walking around, stuff like that, I mean, I wave at people, I interact with people. It's like a big thing to me, It's just like wow. And so, I can't stress that enough. You just want to get involved. You want to keep the ball. Well, as I say, keep the ball rolling. Like my name, last name Rawls. Keep the ball rolling, and just keep it going. Just keep it going. And when I go and I tell people about my circumstances, and I tell people about my life, it's so perplexing to people. My story and my experience becomes bigger than the actual gang stalking thing. They're just getting paid to do something, to agitate me. My experience and my story is 10 times bigger than that. And so they realize that even people who don't know anything about me, never heard of me, once I explain it to them, they're just like, wow, man, this is a big deal. This is something incredible. Like last night, I went with a friend of mine. Okay, we were hanging out in an area where I'm well known at, in Muskegon Heights. We went from there, we went down to an area of downtown. Now, we're downtown, and we're waiting for my friend, his son, we're waiting for the mother to come to pick the son up. And we're down there, we're hanging out. Now I'm there with him. I don't know anybody there. But I began to notice some of the people there were somewhat quasi-connected with the gang stalking stuff. But at the same time, they can tell there's something perplexing about me. And so they hear my story, and I tell them all about, how I did conspiracy research. By the time I get finished, it's so perplexing to them. They're 10 times more interested in that than anything else. So I realized that me being able to communicate my experience with the people that are supposed to be put around me for the gang stalking thing is really where it's at. The people hear my experience, and then they realize that, wow, I can learn something from this. There's something here for me. I'm connected to this. Because they're connected to me, they're connected to that energy. And so the people that are most connected to me are the most people who are going to be most connected to my experiences. And so sometimes it frightens people. Sometimes people will hear my stories and they'll just be like, man, that's... Very few people find it... Most of the people I come in contact with and I explain to them, they know there's something there. They're not really sure how to interpret it, but they know there's something there. Some people tend to love it. I mean, there's a few people, who will be very, very interested in it. And so I've learned to be able to manifest my way in and out of situations just by sharing my experience, right? And so start with that. Start with just waving at the cars with the headlights. If you can, stop and talk to them. I started off just telling people, like, hey, I'd go into a restaurant or something like that, and I'd have to tell the people, like, yeah, I'm on a political agitators list, and I did this, that. I just, I learned it's the way I convey my story, right? I let them know. I just tell them I'm famous. I went and did a bunch of interviews in Hollywood. I attracted the attention of the most powerful people in the world. I mean, that's exactly what happened. And so I tell them that, and they're just like, whoa, man, that's tripped out. That's a tripped out experience. And it doesn't matter where I go. I can go to a upscale area. I can go talk to people who are brain surgeons, lawyers, doctors, whoever. They're going to hear that, and they're just going to be like, wow. I can go over to, a really poor neighborhood and tell people my experience, areas where people feel down and out and stuff like that. I can tell them my story, and they'll have the same reaction. It's like, wow, man, that's tripped out. And so I realized that my experience of my life through conspiracy research and the aftermath of it. Like right now, I'm living the aftermath of it, and it just so my experience is somehow it's taking me from group to people. I mean, there's women now. There's women. The women that I interact with now are way different. I mean, a lot of these chicks, they look like they just walk out of Playboy magazine. The gang stalking people have blessed me. They hire women that are extremely beautiful, and I don't know what it's some sort of psychological thing where it's like I'm not supposed to have them, but they can look at me and smile. Like some of these women look at me and smile at me, and I start waving back to them and stuff like that. And but because of my size, some of them are like, oh, I'm supposed to watch this guy and agitate this guy. Is he dangerous or something? I let them know right away. I'm not, I'm not a violent person. I mean, anybody can get angry, but I'm not out here looking to I don't do that. I walk away from stuff. And so I start interacting with them, and they see that. And then if I can tell them, I say, yeah, I'm famous, and then so now their perception of me has changed. They know they get paid to do the gang stalking thing, but as soon as they see me, I'll even watch their faces. A lot of the women who are gang stalkers, when they see, like, before I come around, I can tell by the look on their face they're not very happy. And then when we come around each other, then they seem to be like, it seems to uplift them. They're like, that's that guy. That's the dude we got. That's that funny weird guy. And so it becomes a thing where these women are looking like these women they look like models, man, out of the Ukraine or Sweden or something like that. And I'm learning to interact with these people, the sophisticated types, classy type. And so I'm realizing that this experience I'm going through is teaching me how to interact with what I'm supposed to be seeing in my future. Okay, like I said, I'm the only person who will ever be gang stalking, and now I'm helping people to be. Right now, somebody's listening to this, and they're eventually going to become the second person in the world to beat it. just based on my inspiration and my story. And there's going to be a third and fourth. So eventually I'm just going to be the first person to ever beat gang stalking. Depending on, somebody might email me right now and want to meet up tomorrow. Somebody might call me and want me to come to where they are. You know, but I'm learning that there's going to come a time in my life one day where I'm going to be having to speak to people who are lawyers, professors, and things like that. I'm going to have to speak to the top professional people. The people that I was against before, you know, before I talked all that stuff bad about the CIA and stuff like that, I mean, I may be having to help these people. It might be the director of the CIA. His son could be going through gang stalking. I might be called in to help him. I mean, even the former head of the Los Angeles FBI, Ted Gunderson, went through gang stalking. So, you know, the former head of the Los Angeles FBI can be gang stalked. Anybody can be gang stalked. So I'm learning to have to deal with people in the professional world. And it's not because I have some great skill. It's because of my experience and the skill that I applied to my experience. And so now I have a gift to offer people. People who have careers in the corporate world, they want to be able to make the right decisions. They feel if they make the right decision, they may be gang stalked. They're going to need somebody. They don't want to lose their job and go into hiding or have a nervous breakdown. They want to be able to get through their life. And so that's where I come in. And I'm going to say, listen, man, I've been through everything you've been through. I'm going to show you the ropes. I'm going to show you exactly what to do and how to get through this. And you're going to beat it no matter what, 110% to keep the ball rolling. See, that's where I'm coming from now. See what I mean? That's where I'm coming from. And because I haven't had a car in a few years. You know what I mean? I had to go out on foot and walk and learn. I mean, everything these people could use against me, they could use against me. And like I said, you know, I come from here. I'm psychologically and spiritually, I'm a very strong person. Much stronger than I even thought I was. I learned about strengths I had that I didn't know I had. And, you know, it's become a thing. Even the people who were the top gang stalker people, the older types who were behind the gang stalking. Now, beyond the gang stalking, you know, I know the secret societies still heavily monitor me and watch me. But I think even they're starting to see, Jameel doesn't have an interest in us anymore. His interest now is in his own experience of helping. So it's starting to change. The way I'm being perceived by these people is starting to change. But I know they still monitor me heavily. But within the gang stalking program, the people who run it in the area I'm in, even they're starting to lighten up to me. I know it's just a job for them. It's nothing personal. But I can see it on their face. Some of the people who are more tight, when they see me, they kind of loosen up now. They kind of smile a little bit, and I wave at them. I smile at them. I mean, I'm not, especially the older types and stuff like that. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny because if I go to the hood, they come to the hood sometimes, and they'll be like older white women, older white guys, and they're like rolling around the hood and stuff like. It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me. I'm just it's just amazing. It's like these people. It's just crazy. I can't believe my life it's just fascinating, you know, and so it's just amazing to me. And so the people in the regular world, there's me, and there's me and my experience, and wherever I go, that follows me. And so it's like the movie Poltergeist. You know, you ever seen the movie Poltergeist? That little girl like, they're back, they're back. They're back. That's how I feel. And sometimes I even forget what gang stalking is. I'll be hanging out somewhere. Like last night, I'm hanging out, and I'm with my friend. We go over his cousin's house. And I don't know it's his cousin. And so we go in there, and they start wrestling, right, in the living room. And so I jump in, and the guy I was with, my friend, he's smaller than his cousin. And so I jump in, and you know, so I jump in the middle of it, and I break it up. Then everybody goes back, and why I did that I don't know. But I start watching. Then later on in the night, everybody's just looking at me, right? They don't know what to make of me, and they're thinking, you know, like who is this guy? You know, I mean, who is this guy? That we're being paid. We're supposed to watch him and stuff, and they didn't know how. They didn't even feel comfortable doing it, and so it was just. And so then I start talking to him and telling him my story. And by the end of the night, they're all just looking at each other like, this is crazy. And that's the effect I've learned to have on people. I've learned to have a strong effect on people, and it gets me to the point to where I can see how my future is unfolding, how it's manifesting. I can see my future coming, and I see myself being able to sit down with people and talk to people. And before, like last year, I had videos where I was talking bad about the police and stuff like that. Now it's becoming a different type of thing. To now where I see the police, it's not the same type of thing. I'm becoming more of like the poster child of not conspiracy research, but of the establishment. I don't even want to put it like that, because that's not how I truly feel about it. But I'm becoming more of a poster child of like the establishment and people who go up against the establishment. And at first it was very bitter. Now it's more like, hey, they're like, hey, there's a YouTube guy, you know what I mean? And so it's become a thing where it's not really, it's more fun. I enjoy it now. I actually enjoy it. I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoy the gang stalking. Like, if I go out right now and I'm not being followed, I'm probably going to be upset. Like, I'm going to come home like, where the hell were they? You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels. Like, it makes me feel like, I look at it like those are my fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm famous. Those are my fans. You know, where the hell are my fans at? You know what I mean? And so I'm telling you, I'll be out there. I'll be out there waving with them and hanging out with them and stuff like that. And it's become so much inspiration to me, because I see girls, like, there was a young girl on YouTube, like, I mean, she looked like she was literally losing her mind. Like borderline suicide or something like that, because she was being gang stalked. And the gang stalking thing is you know, it's huge. And so, you know, I just feel like people can learn from my experience how I treat the gang stalking thing. You know, and it's like, if I could beat it, I know anybody else can beat it. No matter what. 110%, no matter what. And so, it's just incredible, man. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. I go out, and I'll have, you know, all these different people I interact with and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, I can see my life, man. I can see, like, one day, you know, maybe being able to write a book for people, putting out recordings for people to listen to help them. And you don't even have to know what gang stalking is. Just my experience of how I had to hide in my mother's house for a month. How I went through this, how I went through that. All the little stuff. That all has molded me to be the person I am now. And so, it's just like, you know, I can see that in the future I'm going to be interacting with a lot more people. I mean, I don't have a car. I live in my mother's house, but I'm using my experience. My experience is going to be able to take me all the way around the world. My experience of what happened in my life is going to be able to take me to Korea, to Russia, to England, to Latin America. My experience, when I learn from my experience and how I apply that experience and how other people are going to be able to apply that experience to their life, that once I share it with them, that's going to be just as valuable as gold. See what I'm saying? It's going to be, there's people out there who need that experience, and there's going to be people out there, there's going to be companies out there that are going to say, wait a minute, I have an option. I don't have to put, you know, a gang stalking, if one of my employees, you know, is being gang stalked, I can hire this guy to make my employee feel comfortable, so my employee can do what they need to do and get through it and get the job done, and the company can stay afloat. If there's a magnificent professor at a school and he's being gang stalked, if he learns what he needs to learn, he's going to still be able to teach his children. I mean, you know, the kids that go to the school. And so it's going to be my experience of getting out there hands-on, teaching you how to wave at your gang stalkers, teaching you how to interact with them, teaching you how to go from one level of your experience of being gang stalked to a completely different level. And so that's what it's about. It's not about like just beating gang stalking and knocking gang stalking out. I never have to see it. It's your experience of it and how to get through that. And that's what I learned to do. I learned how to go step by step by step. I told myself back in my mind, I said, no matter what, we're gonna we're gonna beat this, no matter what. I already knew I knew I had gang stalking beat when I first started experiencing it last year. I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something different going on in my life. And then, and then in the wintertime, I started feeling differently. My emotions changed. My emotional state changed, and I started looking at the world differently. And then by the time I ended up going to Phoenix, and when I got back from Phoenix, everything had just completely changed in my life. The way I view things changed. You know, I went. It's incredible, man. I went from like going to bars and trying to hook up with chicks just to get laid to now I got these sophisticated model type looking chicks that I'm communicating with on a regular basis now. And that's teaching me directly how to interact with the world I need to go to. This gang stalking thing has given me everything I need to go to where I need to go. And so it's actually been, I don't know what I would have did without it, to be honest with you. I don't know what I would have did without gang stalking. Had I not went through it, and faced that, I don't even know who I'd be today. So, I mean, to me, it's like the most incredible thing that ever happened to me. Whoever put the program together is a genius, to be honest with you. Hey people, what's up? It's Jameel. Alright, so I want to talk a little bit more about my experience now of gang stalking. Now, like I said, I beat gang stalking. One of the easy, simple tactics I use that actually promotes me, it's not a tactic, it's more of, just my life, where I'm going, the direction I'm going in, is I'll see a car, I'll see people, I'll know by looking at them. Just the vibe I get, I'll say, okay, this is somebody who's out there, who's just been paid, to follow me or whatever. I walk up to the person automatically, I just let them know I'm famous, my name, I spell it out for them, they can Google it, and they'll just be like, what, you're famous? I'm like, yeah, I'm famous. Yesterday, I'm outside a store, and there's a car full of girls, and I just walk up to them, and I don't even, now, I don't even look to see if hey, was this person paid to be here? Or, whoever they are, guy, girl, young, old, whoever they are, I don't even worry anymore. Is this the gang stalker? I just walk up to them and let them know. I just say, hey, I'm famous. I give them all my information. And when I walk away, it's like, they're just like, wow, man, that was incredible. When I first started doing it, it felt weird. Now it feels good. I'll walk up to somebody, like, yesterday I was walking on the street, and I saw a truck, fine girl in the car, right? Now she's in the car with another guy. I saw the girl walking into the truck. Then there was another woman by the truck, right? Pretty woman, blonde hair. I walk up to the girl, and I just automatically tell her off rip. I just say, yeah, I'm famous. And she's like, what, you're famous? And she's listening. I'm starting to tell her my story. I'm starting to tell her how she can get a hold of me. Sometimes I won't tell them my story. Sometimes I'll just give them my name and tell them to Google me, and it'll be a surprise. or sometimes I'll just be like, hey, this happened, yada yada yada, and then it'll be a thing where like I want them to be on the adventure. I want them to feel the energy of what I went through. And for most people to hear a story like that, to say, you did a bunch of interviews about government cover-ups, and I'll say, yeah, man, I attracted the attention of the most powerful people in the world. I beat a life-death circumstance. Then I went through a year of gang stalking and beat that. And for a lot of people, it is interesting. They don't really know what to make of it. A lot of times it's just a sort of thing like, wow, like, what is this going to mean for my life? If something like this is possible, what does this mean for my life? What are the possibilities for my life? And that's when they see the power of the experience. Now, if it is somebody who's doing the gang stalking thing, a lot of times by the time I walk away, I realize that my message and my experience was more powerful than their participation in gang stalking. How much money they got paid, or what kind of promises they got to do it. The experience of talking to me, the only guy in the world that beat gang stalking, was 10 times more valuable than what they had got that day. And, whatever they got paid to be out there that day. And so that's how I've been manifesting that's one of the ways you manifest your way out of the concept of gang stalking, is you just put out there like, hey, this is me, this is what happened, and people listen to it, and it just vibes, man. Everywhere you go, people will look at you different. No matter what. No matter what. Hey people, what's going on? It's Jameel. Alright, now I want to talk a little bit more about my experience. Now, I made a bunch of videos saying how to beat gang stalking. That's real. I beat it. Anybody else can beat it. Just get a hold of me for more information. One of the methods I use is using my experience. Not just my experience of the gang stalking, but my experience of how I got there, and then my experience of absorbing it, and then my experience of beating it. And anywhere I go, it doesn't matter where I go. I can go to a really nice neighborhood, a really questionable neighborhood, violence, all that stuff. I can go anywhere. I can go around doctors and lawyers. They're going to know who I am. It's going to come down. I can go around somebody homeless on the street. They're going to know who I am. It's going to come down. And so I realized that my experience of my life is much bigger than anything else. Very few people can walk in a room, no matter who's in the room. It could be the President of the United States of America, or like I said, it could be some homeless Vietnam veteran. Either one is going to know who I am before I get there. They're going to know I'm coming in there, And so the gang stalking thing, it just completely blew me away. And, my experience, like very few people, I can go up to people and just start talking to them, and just start rapping with them. And tell them, yeah, my name's Jameel Rawls, I'm famous, Jamelrwls. Then I start telling them about my experience of the conspiracy research. People just are fast. People say stuff that kind of shocks me. Say, you actually been to Hollywood? I'm like, yeah, anybody can, that's not like, it's like a city just like any other city in America. It doesn't really look too much incredible than any other city. And so it's amazing to me why people, they see my story, the stuff I point out to them, I realize it's much bigger than what I thought it was. I'm used to all my stuff, and so when I hit people with it, just like, wow. And then now, I go around people, and I just tell them. And when I come back around, everybody knows who I am, and I use that beneficial. I tell people, how I beat my circumstance, how they can beat their circumstance, no matter what it is. I had an experience. I went with a friend last night, went over a house. I didn't know anybody there. Of course, they were somewhat quasi-involved with the gang stalking stuff, but my story, my experience was 10 times bigger than that. But after I told them my experience, they looked at me different. They judged me different. People hear about, things like conspiracy theories and Illuminati and world powers. They hear about stuff like movie stars being affiliated with it. Rock and roll musicians, rappers, they hear about stuff like that, but very often actually meet somebody who's been down that road and experienced that high level of energy of it, and has managed to stick around, for the glory of it, to be able to tell somebody else about it. And so that's so amazing to me, is to be able to tell people and see how they react to it, because every time I tell somebody and they absorb it, it changes their life. They look at themselves different. They look at possibilities different. They look at everything around them changes. And so I realize I have a lot of influence over people now. And, I try to use that to help people. For people who don't know what gang stalking is, gang stalking has become the aftermath of that part of my life, the conspiracy research. I'm not really interested. I don't do conspiracy research anymore. I just grew out of it. But my experience of my journey through conspiracy research and the aftermath of it, that whole experience within itself is just very, it's very giving. And there's a lot of people out there that go through gang stalking that, they want to beat it. I'm going to help them no matter what, 110%. Don't keep, now instead of saying keep the ball rolling, keep the ball rolling, like Jameel Rawls. So keep the ball rolling, and, it's just been incredible. It's just been incredible to be able to sit down and talk to people. And one of the biggest things that excites me is, like, my taste in things has gone up. Like, before this whole experience, of course I like women, but I was just like, just interested in like sexual experiences and just talk. I mean, I still am, but I was interested in just like, I'm from Michigan. I'm a common person, a simple person. I was interested in very simple stuff. Now, through the gang stalking, I mean, they really stepped it up, and they were using women that were just completely mind-blowing. I mean, they look like, every now you'll see one of them. I mean, yesterday there was a woman, she was doing the gang stalking stuff, and she was interacting with, she was looking at me, and she was smiling and stuff, and I could tell, I mean, she had a nice car. She looked like she was in her 30s. She looked like a model from Switzerland or something like that. And I realized this is happening to me for a reason. These are the type of people I'm going to be interacting with in my future. I'm not going to be interacting before I was doing my conspiracy research, I'm just sitting in my room all day on the computer talking about the CIA. Now I'm out there really interacting with people. Everybody knows who I am, where I go. My taste in things has just gone up, and I don't know. It's very perplexing. It's very, very perplexing because it's just the experience of it is just mind blowing. And so it's like I'm learning to deal with different types of people. I'm learning how to take in different types of energy. I'm learning different types of experience. A few months ago, last year, women of that high of caliber, I wasn't used to dealing with, women of that high of caliber. Now it's changed. Now the gang stalking people have set it up, man. I mean, these chicks are coming around me. I mean, they look like, they just walked out of Playboy magazine or something like that. And so I'm learning. This is challenging me. I'm having to learn how to deal with that. How do I connect with a female that high caliber, tell her my experience, and still, be able to make my experience just as valuable as whatever she's bringing to the table. That's pretty. It's pretty. It is hard work. It's hard work, but it's pretty cool. It's my whole life has changed. It's like I'm on a level now of like brain surgeons, lawyers, stuff like that. Not because I got some incredible skill, but because of my experience, what I know, what I can bring to the table, what I can help people with in their life, and so it's very interesting, and I just got to be honest with you. I got to be thankful. Even though the people that I offended, very, very, very most powerful people in the world, I have to be thankful for the gang stalking thing, because it had not been for that, my life wouldn't be. My life is 10 times better, man. Just 10 times better all around. I don't worry about nothing. No matter where I go, everybody knows who I am. No matter what neighborhood I go to, the people around me, my experience out trumps it. Even if the people are looking at me like I'm questionable, they don't know what to make of me. As soon as I drop my experience, it's just as valuable as money. They're just like, wow, that really happened? Wow. And they can tell by interacting with me, this is real. Then I say, all you gotta do is Google me. Just Google my name, go listen to all my stuff on the internet, and check it out. And, people are like, yeah. So it's almost like I have taken the conspiracy theorist thing as being, I don't know, like just as valid as a professional career, just as valid as being, like a police officer, just as valid as being a lawyer, just as valid, the experience of it. It's real, man. Real stuff. The experience of it and what happened has become like just as good as gold. And so right now I'm in the process of transmuting that. Right now I'm in the process of helping people who are going through gang stalking to beat gang stalking. I'm the only person in the world that beat it. I'm laying it down for them so they can beat it. I'm laying it down for everybody else. People who want to learn, just in general, learn from the experience to make their life better. I've been seeing it happen. I've been seeing, like, I'll be at a store, and it'll be a car full of girls, beautiful girls. I'll just walk up to the car, like, yeah, I'm famous. And, like, every girl in the car, 9 times out of 10, they're there just because of the gang stalking thing. Not always, not everybody in some way is affiliated with the gang stalking thing. I know that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying oftentimes they will use females, like, they will use things like that. Just they will tell the driver, just be on the phone and keep looking at the guy like that. It's simple stuff. They won't know really too much more than what they've been told to do. But I walk up to the car and I just say, hey, I'm famous, and immediately their eyes get real big and they like light up because it enters their consciousness. Why would anybody pay me money to just drive around and look at this guy? So there must be something going on within him or in his life that's pretty big, And so I say, yeah, I'm famous. And I drop my experience on him and I tell him like who I am, everything that's happened, the glory and the power I've got out of my experience. And it's just like, and it's just like, they're all like, wow, I'll Google you. I want to look it up. And they go home that night and they're just like, man, that was weird. I got paid to follow this guy. And then he told me he was famous. And then he told me to Google him. So they're going to go home and they're just going to look it up. They're just going to look it up. And then they're going to see the story. And then they're going to realize like they interacted, who they are as people. They interacted with me but they interacted with my experience. Then they're gonna say, then how does this like what does this mean to my life? And so it's a thing, it's a process, a thing where it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to both of us. Our interaction is going to be beneficial. Before the gang stalking stuff happened, I wouldn't have walked up to anybody and just been like, "Hey, Google me." I just wasn't that type of person. I see now that the gang stalking has sharpened my skills. It's made me there's more 10 times potent. If I would have saw a woman like that looked, like I said, these chicks look like they would just walk out of Playboy magazine. I would, I would be thinking back in my mind, man, this woman's gonna think I'm crazy. I'm not gonna say anything to her. Now they know. Of course, they're supposed to be, it's all part of the program. They're supposed to be watching me and stuff. So now, I mean, they're already half of them are starting to get familiar with me, and so it's like as soon as they see me, they look like they're already happy anyway. I just drop it on them. I just put the story on them if I can, or if they're if they're going by in the car, I just wave at them, smile. I let them know my foundation's solid. I'm grounded. All the cars I see, there's no matter who they are, I try to wave at them and be friendly. My life where I'm at now is just way different than what it was before this. Like the last 3 weeks, it's just my whole life is just changing to something else. And so, I see now that my life is going in a completely different direction. The conspiracy research was just, I don't know, it was just a catalyst to shape me for what I needed to go through. In the last 4 years. The last 4 years of my life, 2012, 2016, has been a grinding and a shaping of the character that I need to be to do what I need to do in my life, and that is to bring my experience to people, to tell people what happened with me, how they can get through it, yada yada yada. And so it's like I've been blessed. I've been blessed. I realized I've been it's just incredible, and it's hard for me. I don't know. It's hard for me to really put it into words. It's like when I see people who go through the gang stalking and stuff, they choose to live it through that experience of, oh my God, people are following me, instead of reshaping that experience and using it as a catalyst to do what they really need to do. Now for me, I actually, to be honest with you, it's gotten to the point to where like if I go outside and I go walking and I don't see like the cars and stuff like that, if they stop doing it for a while, I actually feel like, man, I hope they like, where are they at? I want them to come back out. It's turned into that type of thing, and so I just want to lay my experience down for people a little bit more.